listening to the Cool Paso podcast. I'm your host, Vanessa Harold, and we want you to like this video and subscribe to Cool Paso on YouTube. Please, thank you for your support. Also, speaking of support, go to our website, coolpaso.com, on your browser. That's where you order. I know a lot of you are talking about having your own podcast. We can produce it for you. Just go to coolpaso.com and order and come on down to the studio. Well, now that that's out of the way, we have a very special guest today. And I know you guys are used to us bringing you sports content, but today is about El Paso. Why don't you introduce yourself, sir?
Hi, I'm Campeon Ramirez, and I'm going to be the director of And Try Again, a short film that we're doing here in El Paso.
Yes, thank you. And tell us a little bit about what kind of a movie this is.
Right, so it's like a Groundhog Day type of movie, reliving the same day over and over again. You just have a hitman who's hired to do a job, and he's given a device where he can save his place in time, much like a video game. So every time he fails, he resets. He finds out that the person that he's been hired to kill has the same device, and they get trapped in a loop of going back and forth at each other. And we'll see who wins.
Ooh. I love Groundhog Day and video games, so that's a good combination. Where did you get the inspiration for this?
A lot of the short films that we've been working on is just to build out a reel for my friends and myself of we can do stunts and we can do acting and we can do fighting and all this other stuff. And we wanted a good film to show off like a good variety of stunts. And from there, it built out into what cool stuff can we do? Why should people even care about the stunts they're watching? Let's make a good story around it. Give it some heart, and that's where we're at.
So, what exactly are the prerequisites to being a filmmaker?
As someone who's still learning how to do it all, I would say, one, you really got to want to do it. It's a lot of hard work, a lot of different jobs. I think a lot of the films I've worked on, I'm willing to be director, I'm willing to be, actor, willing to be behind the camera, I'm willing to write. Especially when you're starting out very small, you got to wear a bunch of different hats. And also be willing to ask for help and start building out a network. The main thing is just not being shy about, hey, like I'm working on this project. Are you interested? Do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? Could you help me here? Could you show up this day? You get a lot of no's, but if you keep asking, you also get a lot of yeses. So.
And you're talking about networking. Talk a little bit about the friends and the people that you're working with.
Right. So the other actors across from me are a friend I met in high school, someone I met across from them. My parents will be helping out in this movie. From there, my aunt helped me find people to do the camera work, which is going to be Cool Paso. So I know these two folks here through my aunt and my mom, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah. Actually, it's a funny story because I met your mom at Montwood High School. She was the drum major for the band, the marching ram band, and her sister Susie, of course, was in my class. But she was one of the amazing drum majors there at Montwood High School. Talk a little bit about your mom.
My mom, well, this will be the first time she hops in on one of these projects, so that'll be really cool. She has helped with other films in the past, but that's for my other job, not the short film stuff. But no, yeah, she's a super, super, super funny person. Loves to laugh, loves to talk, loves to go out. It was very funny to see how much we get along after I turned 21. Be like, oh, wow, I don't know that many people can hang out on a Saturday or Sunday, like out at the club or out at the bar with their moms. But I can do that.
Shout out, Lorena.
Yeah. I also, one more quick shout out. This is the first time in one of these short films that we have like a pretty decent budget. And that's all because of held a fundraiser and a GoFundMe, and my family and our friends like really showed up. So that was huge. That was super helpful. A lot of these films have been on a phone with zero budget. So.
Yeah, dude. And you were talking about it before. When you first get started, you kind of do all the jobs yourself. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I think the first time I ever asked for help, I hit up a friend from high school who had started parkour, and I was like, "Hey, like, I'll bring my sister to come film. I'll write kind of a story for us. you just got to be there. And he was like, I'm so down. Then the next project, it was the same thing of inviting more people. On this one, they'll be helping me make the props. But yeah, I've done a lot of the work, being willing to sit down and work on the script by myself, and have everyone give it a quick read to make revisions. Um, Doing a lot of the traveling back and forth and doing all the talking and making sure that everyone's going to show up at the right time at the right date, and that we have a solid team. And then on the day of, well, you two will see it. I'll do a lot of jumping in front of the camera to do the action stuff, and then hopping right behind back the camera to be like, okay, are we good? Are we solid? Do we need to add more blood? Do we need to do this kind of thing? So you're running all over the place.
Right, and a lot of what you're saying registers with me, because as a creative individual, we've really tried to do everything ourselves. It saves money definitely. But one of the things you do have to do is do a lot of research. Talk about some of the research you had to do.
Right. We're doing some new stunts. So research for this one has mostly been watching a lot of like our favorite films and trying to like replicate those things. I would say like a big inspiration for this one is Deadpool. So trying to figure out like, oh, how do they do? Have you ever seen the scene where they're out fighting on the street? Somebody gets shot through the arm and you can see through his arm. How do we do that for our film? So I won't give away what's going to happen, but there's going to be a stunt similar to that. A lot of other things too have been uh, just general learning a lot about like the editing process on the back end of like how does DaVinci work, how does Premiere work, how do we set ourselves up for success after we've got all the footage to make sure that we never want to say like, oh, we'll fix it in post, because we're not that skilled yet. So a lot of research has gone to that, planning out stuff ahead of time, and also small stuff like how to do small stunts like this little knife thing, like learning about like, oh, you get a retractable knife so you can stab people
Oh,
without actually like
let me
bringing out
see
something
that.
unsafe
Oh,
and
what?
accidentally hurting somebody.
Oh, and it's made of plastic too. It's not even.
No, yeah.
Wow. Very cool, man. Where'd you get that? Amazon?
Amazon. Most of the stuff is Amazon with our small budget. I just got a whole bunch of cheap stuff, and the next couple of days we'll be repainting everything and making sure it worked well and
Talk a little bit
everything
about
good.
the other items you got here.
Right. So this little watch will be our time travel device. So it'll be given to the protagonist and the antagonist, and they'll each have their own. Yeah, lights up. It'll be cool. With the help of Cool Paso, we get even better lighting and some cool smoke effects for the film. This guy still needs to be painted, but we went with a more futuristic looking gun. We're going a bit sci-fi, so I'm going to go through, repaint it. Not going to turn it on. It sounds very loud and does a little eagle screech.
All
And
right, just
I'll
do
be
it.
taking out the speaker.
Let's hear it. Let's
Are you
hear it.
sure? Okay.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
you can't do that.
yeah, no, I'm going to take out the speaker and stuff before we start filming, because I don't want it to sound like that. That little stuff over there is like a little Arduino kit. So you got like motherboards and LEDs. That'll be just like set dressing for the antagonist. He's a scientist, a bit of a pretty smart guy. So we want to make sure to add things in the film in the background that make him, you know, tie in with this character.
Yeah, and you talked a little bit about Deadpool. Man, I love the whole style of that movie. Is that one of the inspirations here?
That's the bigger one when it comes to action. There will be a montage of the film. Well, again, if you've seen Groundhog Day, all the montage of him dying a bunch of times. Similar montage, but instead it's him getting killed by the antagonist a bunch of times. So we'll be doing some, uh, you know, this person gets thrown into the pool and they might get like electrocuted. They might get shot. They might get something chopped off. One of us might get hit by a car. Going to be very vague about it because I want it to be a bit shocking, but
Hmm.
no, that's why Deadpool's our biggest inspiration, because there's a whole bunch of that in those films.
Oh yeah, yeah. You talk about your network. You said a lot of your family and friends have helped out. You talked about your sister. Talk a little bit about your support system.
Yeah, I mean the same people working on the film are pretty much the same support system, especially on the family side. Like they're the people that I talk to the most, and they'll be helping me out the most on this one. That's why I knew I could rely on them to help me with the fundraiser and to read the script. And the heart of the film too, there's it's based off a lot of conversations I had with my family about things like death and grief and how to be there for family. Like one of the main things that the protagonist has to learn is like helping people doesn't mean fixing their problems. It just means being there for them. which I know is a big thing that like
Mm.
I've talked about with my family before. Even the title of the film is actually something my uncle helped me come up with because I was really stuck, and he
Oh.
was like, "Well, if you've ever heard the saying try and try again, why don't you just and try again?" And I was like, "Oh, that's great." Um, so
You said your uncle?
yeah, yeah. Lived with him in Utah for a couple of years, so he's not going to be involved in this project in person, but he helped plug the fundraiser and he helped me come up with the title and with some of the ideas for the film too.
I'm assuming you're speaking of Luis.
Yes.
Shout
Oh,
out
of course you know
Luis.
Luis. Yes, that's right.
I was trying to lean up to that. Shout out Luis. Cool guy, right?
Very cool guy.
Yeah, for sure. Did you go to school in Utah with Luis or?
I did, and that's where a lot of my introduction to like stunts and stuff came from. I used to teach martial arts, and I met some people who wanted to get into the stunt realm, and so we started doing little like training videos from there. And then I wanted to start actually making the films. It's a bit hard to break into the industry, so I didn't feel a lot of confidence in just going to somewhere like LA and just being like, "Oh yeah, I know how to fight. I let me act or whatever." I figured we need to build out a reel first, and well, if we want to do like a little like, oh, if we want to do this little short film, then we got to start learning how to do all this other
Mm.
stuff, and now that just led to us making our own short films. Yeah.
Yeah, and as a word of advice to the young kids out there, never stop learning. Always have something that interests you. And just like us in Cool Paso, every year we try to do something different, something new. Of course, we kind of still say we stay with our same formula because, of course, you got to respect what works.
Right.
You know, you can't be you can't reinvent the wheel sometimes, but that's why you gotta go to the books, go to the internet, learn. What are some of the websites that you've used for learning?
For learning, big plug to YouTube University. So many different YouTube videos from so many different sites. That's huge. I would say what honestly websites for learning not as much. But Film Speak is a big YouTube channel that I watch a lot. That one gives a lot of good advice. There's a lot of people who do like just video essays on movies and just explaining what they like movies, and that's really good for you to hear. Like, oh, they like this movie for this reasons, and I like that movie too. Maybe I should think about that next time I write my own thing.
Mm,
Um, and a lot of the other learning has been from getting to work on other projects, like other people's projects, and
mm.
just sitting behind the scenes and watching them do their stuff. That's been the biggest help. Yeah,
Right, and this will be Cool Paso's first time assisting with a short film, so we'll also be learning a little bit as well.
yeah.
Yeah.
You're gonna bring in all the tech and all the know-how, and I'll just bring in all the action pieces and the story, and I think it's gonna go great. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, we're really excited about the collaboration for sure. And I just want to thank you for your courageousness because a lot of people don't get to the point where you're at right now. You're almost there, dude. How
yeah.
does that feel?
It feels cool. Back to what you're saying about the not giving up. Start. I mean, you can start at as long as you just start somewhere. You'll. I feel like, and you just keep going at it. You really start to snowball. Like the first one we did was at UTEP with just my phone, and we just running from place to place to make sure we didn't get kicked out or anything. That nobody was like, "Whoa, why are these guys fighting on the lawn?" Even as like a kid, the first little thing I made was like a little DS, a little stop motion video with some Legos. So if you like it, you start somewhere. I think anybody get to this point if they really want it, and yeah,
Right, and I think I heard a quote from Elon Musk that said that nobody would hire him, so he created his own company.
that very similar to what we're essentially doing now.
Yeah.
I would want to create my own studio as opposed to. I think I maybe about a year ago I was like, I don't know that I'm interested in going over for someone else. I think I want my own studio.
Yeah.
I think I want to work with other studios, but still, I'll bring my own thing.
Yeah, and destiny has a way of kind of leading you to where you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
So it's very cool, man. Like a lot of people talk about, oh yeah, I want to make my own movie, but they don't actually do it, right? I
Yeah.
mean,
I think what might stop a lot of people is the if you think about how they make like the Avengers or how they make the actual Groundhog Day, like it's such a huge set with so many people and so much money and all this, and you're like, well, I can never do that. So maybe I just won't do it. Whereas you could just make the kind of movie you're capable of to the best of your ability, and then like people will see it and want to help out on the next one. People will see that one, help out on the next one, and then you get to a Groundhog Day like years in the future.
Yeah, I remember when I was a kid. Pee Wee Herman had these like claymation animation things, and there was this one called Penny, and me and my brother were like, "Oh, we should do like a claymation like," and then we got my dad's old video camera with the big VHS tape in it, and we like made our own animation.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure you kind of did that with your Lego thing
Yep.
too, right?
Very, very similar. Yeah.
You kind of like stop and then go and then stop and then, but it's kind of cool that like in a way we're like playing, but adult on adult level.
That's exactly what it feels like. It's a little. It can be tiring too, but it just feels like playing, and a lot of, especially because a lot of it is action. It just feels like, yeah, you're just roughhousing on film. You just got to make sure it looks cool.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm sure with your martial arts experience, you'll be able to direct them and help them out with that.
Yeah, they the guys I'm working with, they have the parkour background. One of them has mainly a parkour background. The other one does parkour and martial arts. So they're bringing. They at least have the knowledge of like how to move their bodies and how to roll and how to protect themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I just have the background of like, knowing how to do demos for karate or demos for kung fu, and just being like, okay, that's not too different from how you do like a fake fight scene on camera.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If anything, I feel like it might be easier because sometimes when you do it live, it's a little easier to see that people aren't hitting each other. Whereas like with the camera, you just hit the right angles and you can make it look like so you really deck somebody in the face.
Yeah, you know what? A friend of mine, he was interested in making a movie because he was inspired by this sports. It was like a sports football documentary on Netflix. It was like university something. I forget what it is, but it was basically a documentary about football and youth football at that. And one of the teams that was on the video was the San Antonio Outlaws. I forgot the name of the movie, but anyways, the San Antonio Outlaws actually came over here and played us, like just to get warmed up for their season. And like this guy, like he's like, we should do a Netflix, and it's like a broken record. It's like, are you ever gonna do it? Are we ever gonna do it? Like,
yeah, I think it just takes somebody to start the first step, like just to get like the first domino to fall, and that could be like, all right, well, let's find a bunch of football players that are down to be on camera and play, and if you get a bunch of yeses, then you get excited.
Yeah, but like I said, I'd like for you to be an inspiration to these young kids out here. It's kind of like just playing, but on the adult level where you have to pay people to help you out and stuff like that. Yeah. But yeah, man, thank you so much for coming over here and being interviewed. And we look forward to working with you.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for helping on the film.
Yeah. Cool. That's the end of the episode, guys. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to Cool Paso. And do you have anything to say?
Right. We got an Instagram. Films Freakout is the Instagram, and we also have a website, filmsfreakout.com. So if you want to see any of our older videos or older shorts, I also have a film that I just did up in Utah with some friends. So this and that one and Try Again will be coming out around the same time. But there's a trailer for the other one already. So
all right, check them out on Instagram, guys. And we'll see you on the next episode. Bye. Woo!